B'reshus de Gabayim al Asar. See, there was no Hakdosh of the Farbrengen. So, with their permission, I would like to dedicate the Farbrengen tonight of Chavches Siven, the Schus de Gabai from 770, from the Rebbe's Beis Medrash, Harav Zev Yecheskel HaKoyin Ben Mindel, the Eibishter soll benchen, mit lange, gesunde Jahren, Nachas von seinen Kindern, chassidische Nachas, die Kinder, der eine Klach, der eine Klach. When chassidische Farbrengen Knuftan is always a good thing, but why am I choosing Dafke tonight to begin with L'chaim, L'schus Reb Zev, the pastors in Fleischike Egen from our very limited perspective. A chelek chashuv of the nitzchius of Chavches Siven, what was engraved into the world on Chavches Siven and through Chavches Siven is Adayin Reb Zev. When the Rebbe came back from the Oil to Zayin Iyar, by the Chalukah of for the Chalukah of Dvar Malchus, Chas is interessant. By Mincha, the Rebbe said, "What hein Teilin a Kuntris Chassidus." If you look through the four sichos of Dvar Malchus, it's nigledike sichos. But when the Rebbe was getting ready, when the Rebbe was about to start the Chalukah, so Rabbi Groner had actually called Reb Zev beforehand and asked him to make the announcement that the Kontresim seien nicht great und man wird anheben nach a halbe Shah, which he did. He made the announcement, and the Rebbe Taka went back to his room, and the Chalukah started a half hour later. And we all, for those who were here earlier, when we were watching the Sikha from Tafshin and Aleph, so during the Sikha, during Maidiv, there was some eye contact between Rabbi Groner and Rabbi Zev, Rabbi Katz. Again, he wanted to do it again. He tried. And as we all know, he made an announcement, as it's with seine Hafsaka. And the Rebbe said, anstatt machen Hafsaka, so we machen a Hemshech. Stam, it's interesting to know, since then, Kamat, every time Rebbe Zev was Farbrengen, those words that Rebbe said, are not when he was emceeing a Chavches Siven Farbrengen. Bechlal. Those words of the Rebbe, anstatt machen a Hefsik, so we machen a Hemshech, were like a Kav B'chaim. It was like his Zayir Tvei. What came out of that Hafsaka? And it's interesting, by the way, that in the Sikha, the Rebbe is Magia his words. It's a technicality. The Manichim wrote that the Gabai Hichriz Sheyi Hafsaka, which is a mixture of a Lashon Zachar and a Lashon Keva, and the Rebbe was Magia by Katz's words Sheti Hafsaka. So maybe that's why it was part of why he was so involved in it. But there's I think it's Parashas Vayikra Tafshin Mem Aleph, right? Ches Adar. So the Rebbe says, well, what's the yichus of Ches Adar? Because the pastors, the boat came into the harbor. The Fidig Rebbe came in Ches Adar during the day, in the afternoon, the evening, and it was sitting in the harbor. And the Rebbe says that the Rebbe Hashav thinks about Haftarah. He would integrate him 4 or 5 times. For sure, the Fidig Rebbe for a Sikha like Tes Adar, that he sat on the boat to the Askanim who came to Makabal Panim, that the pastors, the Sikha of America is nicht anders, had the Fidig Rebbe zugegret on Ches Adar. That's the Yichus of Ches Adar. Was kann mir sagen mit unserer Fleischike Egen? But the pastors, as der Rebbe gegangen nechet, zugegret as Sikha. Der Rebbe zugegret as Sikha of Chavches Siven, and the Rebbe gerät. Was zugegret of Chavches Siven? And thanks to Reb Zev, is geworden a Gilui Chadash of Chavches Siven. Because he made the announcement, it's a Machen Hafsaka, there's a whole new Sikha which a a lot of Geschmacke and Yanim that came just out of that. So that's first of all. But then there's something much more. The Sikh of Chav Chesiv Tavshin and Aleph, what the Rebbe spoke about then, and more so, how the Rebbe continued it. The Rebbe is basically giving us a shtel of Deir Hashvi from that moment ad Bias Geil Tzedek. In the Sikha of Chav Chesiv, the Rebbe puts us where we need to be. Learn the Sikha, you watch the Sikha. Of course, the atheists are meridic. And the Nukuda of the Sikha being that Chav Chesiv, in the first half, or more so in the second half of the Sikha, that Chav Chesiv is the day when the Aveda of Nesiderenu to be Meifitz Hamayaniv's Chutza by coming into Chatzi Kadra Tachten and taking Chatzi Kadra Tachten and making it into the center from which we're going to lift the whole world, including Chatzi Kadra Elyon, and from where, and as the Rebbe goes, B'dibur, the Rebbe is Mefare Dafker from 770, and all of the atheists that the Rebbe gives. The Rebbe is basically telling us how we have to live, and how we have to take out that koyach into the whole world. But then something else happened. Rabbi Zev is the Gabbai of 770, and was very involved in the binyan of 770 and strengthening it. And he approached. Now here I tried to get clarity, but those who wouldn't know, I don't know. It was hard to get a clear picture. But from what I remember at the time, hearing at the time, it was over the next few months that Reb Zev approached Reb Yael and said, why don't we take the Sikha of Chav Chesiv and other Sikhas around Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel from other times and use that to put together the Rebbe's whole approach on Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel, which they did. Reb Yael and Reb David Feldman took, I think it was 3 different sikhs, Parshas Pinchas, I think, Tavshin Nun, 1 or 2 other sikhs, and they prepared Kuntris Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel. Stama, everybody here, I'm sure, is clear in it, and if you're not, definitely make time over the next Mesles to take the Rebbe's last Chav Chesiv message to the world. After Chav Chesiv Tavshin Nun Aleph, Rebbe's last Chav Chesiv message to the world is when? From when? Anybody know? Chav Cheshvan Tavshin Nun Beis, the Rebbe gave out and published Kuntris Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel, and this whole second half of that Kuntris is taken from the Sikha of Chav Chesiv. They prepared the Kuntris and they brought it to their usual channel, to the Rebbe's office, to one of the Maskirim, and he said the Rebbe is too busy now, we're not giving in extra Kuntresim. They went to one of the other Maskirim. It was a back and forth. The Asarusa de Lasata had to be a very, very strong one to bring this to the Rebbe's attention. The Kuntris Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel, which they did, and it came when the Rebbe's office. The Rebbe took it. It was definitely a few weeks, possibly even a few months. I haven't gotten a clear picture of that. But the Kuntris was sitting by the Rebbe. When did the Rebbe choose to give it out? 3 days before the shluchim arrived to the Kinnas HaShluchim Tavshin and Beis. Chav Cheshvan Tavshin and Beis. What did the Rebbe give out to welcome the shluchim? Everybody's familiar with the Farbrengen. Chayisada Tavshin and Beis. Aveda Ikris, Einzike Geschlichos. But what did the Rebbe give to the shluchim to welcome them to the Kinnos? Kuntin is Beis Rabbeinu Shabbat. The Sicha of Chav Ches Siven Tavshin and Aleph, where the Rebbe lays out Chav Ches Siven as being the day that sets Deir Hashvi on its course. And the Rebbe gives us there a very, very clear picture of how we have to live. There's an interesting word, I think it's Tavshin Nun, where the Rebbe is saying, the Rebbe is speaking about the shtatfus to everyone, or Memtes, the shtatfus to every Beis Chabad that's going to be Isaac in Binyan, a shtatfus of $100. And the Rebbe says, I shtatfus durch the Lashon is through the binyan from the Beis HaKnesses, the Beis HaMedrash, und seine Shluchim. Pashut Shluchim of 770. And that reality, that Chav Ches Sivan is a day that the Rebbe says celebrates every single shliach b'mekoim shlichusei, as it's explained in the Kundris, that what is a Beis Chabad? The Beis Chabad is an extension of that. So what's our job? And for that, we have to updanken after schus of being a shliach in South Africa, because today I was asking around. The Esser Gully is Gol Lubavitch, right? Anybody know where the 11th place is, where Lubavitch is now? It's on WhatsApp. That's Dartin left Lubavitch. The will step is Fashtei, and that's where you go. What happened in Tavshim Dalit Chav Chesivin? It's a whole year after the Rebbe's Brivas Areis. There was no Farbrengen, there was nothing, there was no singing, there was nobody. The only hisyachsus that I saw beremes aklaponim to Chav Chesivin is actually something that the Rebbe said without any hisayrus from anybody. It was 2 weeks tak. It was 2 weeks after Chav Chesivin, but in mein klein kop slegt sich up that it's definitely connected to it being the first Chav Chesivin Tavshim Dalid after the letter was out, and it was Take Shash still, and maybe by Yehi Lepel there was nothing Take Tavshim Dalid. But there was a shliach, Rabbi Mendel Kazanovsky, who was going on Shlichus Tammuz Tavshin Mem Dalid. Now first, by the way, just to clarify, in all of the sichas that I saw around the whole idea of Chatzi Kadra Tacht and Chatzi Kadra Elyon, the Rebbe speaks that Chav Chesivin, Tes Adar, is the day that the Rebbe, the Shver, the Siderenu, Ibegekliben from Medina Ahi, and Chatzi Kadra Elyon, Chatzi Kadra Tachten, and there was a Mapecha so far that from Chatzi Kadra Tachten is Min Maila the ganze Welt. But it stops there. But in this one moment, Yedalid Tammuz Tavshin Mem Dalid was a shliach going out, Take El Merchakim, and the Rebbe gave him a bracha as follows, and I've never seen a lashon like this anywhere. But the Rebbe tells him, the Rebbe gave him l'chaim, and told him, Zol's nemin von die Warmkeit von Chatzi Kadra Elyon, onwarm in Chatzi Kadra Tachten. Which, le'eni basar, is the only time where the Rebbe defines 770 as Chatzi Kadra Elyon. This is before anything. Any Tesichas, any Farbrengens, any 770 is Chatzi Kadra, and the Rebbe set it up that way. And everything else comes later. Zos nemen von die Warmkeit von Chatzi Kadra Elyon, onwarm in Chatzi Kadra Tachten. Das heißt, every one of us, where we are right now, in the Rebbe's Dalet Amis, We are in Chatzi Kadra Elyon. And our job is to take from here, to take from the Beis HaKnesses and Beis HaMedrash, with the Rebbe, the Shver, the Gedavin, the Geler, the Getan, Milos Chasadim, to take that Warmkeit und anwarm in die ganze Welt. The Chutze Bepashtos, the Chutze Mibifnim. That is our Aveda today. V'yeshleimar, and this is not what the Rebbe says. This is obviously translating it into unser heintige matziv. One of the things which the Rebbe is meisif in the second sikha of Chav Chasiv and Aleph is speaking more. First sikha is more about Chav Zayin, the whole Keach Chav Shalish Pam Shalish. I don't think the Derech Hatzachas, Reb Nissim gone. Who comes da rein? But the Fidige Rebbe, one of the titulim that the Fidige Rebbe gives to the Rebbe in the Meidan that around Chav Chasivin is Hagoin. But the whole sikha is about Chav Zayin and Chav Ches, the koyach you get from Shalish Pam Shalom, Urim to Sayakim to Sayim Chulu. One of the things which the Rebbe is meisif in the second part, the second sikha, is the connection to Chedesh Tammuz, which obviously here we're relatively speaking, we're on our own in the Heintige Matziv. Aber es ist unmöglich zu sagen, der Ashgach Elyena, Chav Chasivin, being the day that takes us into Gimel Tammuz, is Tamazeh. There's an interesting note from the Rebbe in the Sikh of Chav Chasivin, in the first publication of it, this Tavshin and Aleph publication of it. So the Rebbe is speaking about 770, and 70 being the Shleimos of Shneisa from the Rebbe the Shver. And in the Ha'ara, the Manichim wrote, Asher Neilad Belubavitch, the Beis Tammuz Tafresh Mem, Benestalik, Ben New York, Chatzik Adratacht, and Yud Shvat Tavshin Yud. And the Rebbe is made of the words, V'sham Menuchase Kavit, about Yud Shvat, in Chatzik Adratachten. And there's no shaila that the world that we're living in right now, nach Gimel Tammuz, far de Gula mitzvos v'ashleim el'eni basar b'pashtus, is a Chatzik Adratachten. Asher sham nuchasi kavit. And the keach that we have, anvarim and Chatzik Adratachten, von wann nennt man das? Von Chatzik Adra Elyon. Ubemele, sitting here now, Chav Chesivin Tavshin Pehei, was ist Pshat Chav Chesivin? Was ist Pshat Anwarim in Chatzik Adratachten? Als die Lebendigkeit, die Idee, als da der Rebbe der Shver gelernt und gedavint und getan in der Aveda von Gemilas Chasadim isn't a history, it's not something for a human, but it's something that we live with. Die Warmkeit von Chatzik Adra Elyon is noch da. And what we need to do, the keach that we take from Chav Chesivin, is to realize as melep noch in Chatzik Adra Elyon. The Welt sagt, es ist Chatzik Adra Tachten, hecher von 30 Jahren nach Gimel Tammuz, auf dem hat man als Schlichus, anwarnen in Chatzik Adra Tachten. Ubemele, l'chaim, we should take the keach of Chav Chesivin, und leben, wie man darf leben, and be able to, lachrena, I heard a word from a bacher, so it was stark wehgetan. He said, I was in Shabbos in Crown Heights 2 weeks ago, last week. He said, where did you daven? I said, what do you mean I daven? Daven, we're always daven, 770, by the Rebbe's place. Like, why should that change? He tells me, I'm not comfortable davening in 770. Wie kann a Lubavitcher Chassid sagen a solche Wörter? Nicht bequemt. Okay, so it's okay. There's not a brief from Rebbe. There was a young person, a young man. He wrote to the Rebbe that he's not comfortable in his body. And he wants to change his body. That it should fit to what his feelings are. So the Rebbe tells him, you're living in a body that the Eibishter made for you. Why would you want to change that? The Guf on the Lubavitcher Chassid is the Beis HaMedrash and Beis HaKnesses, wo der Rebbe the Schwert gelernt und gedavent. Is it nicht bequemt? Okay, mach a seder. Go read that letter. You see what the Rebbe tells, advises him to do. But this is Chav Chesiven. Das ist der Rebbe's Daladamis, das wird bleiben der Rebbe's Daladamis, ad bias Geil Tzedek. So L'chaim, we should all have the kayach, not to be afraid. Not to be afraid to look inside of ourselves, not to be afraid to look around us. Und wo man sieht, chatzi kadra tachten, as es kalt und trocken, we should remember what our Aveda is, so anwarmen, und man soll sicher sein, Tage nach Farbrengen Tammuz. Gehen mit den Reben, wenn Nizke sehen sich mit den Reben, Dolomata, mit Asare Tfachim, wo hui geleinu, wie lichenu, kemias la'artzenu, mit 770, ad Rabbi is taken from me ad mamish. L'chaim.